When we hear the term disclaimer or say creative liberty, मुझे ये देखने में बड़ा मजा आता है कि लोग उसे किस तरह से इंटरप्रेट करते हैं अपनी फिल्मों के लिए. Hi, I'm Pratiksha Mishra and you're listening to my review of Article 370. Article 370 एक ऐसा फिल्म है जिसका ट्रेलर I didn't watch before going to the movies because I wanted to enter the film on a clean slate, which I did do, and I have some mixed feelings about the film. फिल्म के बारे में बात करने से पहले हम फिल्म के एंड की बात करते हैं. इन द एंड वी सी अ चॉइस पिक ऑफ हेडलाइंस दैट प्रेजेंट कश्मीर एज अ यूटोपिया आफ्टर द एब्रोगेशन ऑफ सेक्शन 370, the section that accorded a special status to Jammu and Kashmir. This kind of beautifully ties how the film's politics turn out throughout the runtime, and also its kind of half-hearted attempt at nuance. Starting में the film is helmed by two women. One is the intelligent operative Zuni Haksar, played by Yami Gautam, and the other is a bureaucrat from the Prime Minister's office, Rajeshwari, played by Priyamani. One thing about this film that I really like is the way that it deals with these two characters. कहीं पे भी वो stereotypical portrayal नहीं है of women that we usually see in cinema, where they have to make that choice between family or personal life and their work. In this, we just see two powerful women who are working together towards a mission. Both of these characters believe that the abrogation of Article 370 will solve all the problems in Kashmir. कोई भी actual dissent का जिक्र नहीं किया जाता है. Everything is conflated with terrorism or misguided youth. The term stone pelter is thrown around बीच में, and then soon is followed by accusations of them being paid. But of course, this is a fictional film, as they tell you in the disclaimer. That is probably why a journalist can so fearlessly ask questions to the ruling party without fearing any repercussions. But I digress. वापस आते हैं यामी गौतम के कैरेक्टर जूनी पे. Zuni is basically the kind of character that you would expect her to be in this kind of genre of political action thriller. वो अपने सीनियर्स की बात ना मान के एक रेड कंडक्ट करती है, which ends in the encounter of a militant Burhan Wani. Burhan Wani's death then leads to violence and unrest in the valley, but the only regret Zuni has is she shouldn't have returned the body. At this point, you would expect to maybe see some of the people from Jammu and Kashmir, the people whose lives have been affected by all of this, but keep wishing, does not happen. Rajeshwari then meets Zuni and thinks that she is the perfect person to carry out the mission that ensures that the abrogation of 370 does not lead to further unrest in the valley. Zuni का इसमें एक personal stake भी है. She blames the special status provision for the lack of investigation into a scam that led to her father's death. Does this kind of make her a non-objective narrator in this film? Does the film explore that aspect? वो आप खुद जाके देख लेना. आर्टिकल 370 का स्ट्रेंथ उसका अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ सब्जेक्ट मैटर नहीं है. दिस फिल्म डायरेक्टेड बाय आदित्य जाम्भाड़े इज जस्ट वेल मेड. Aditya Dhar is a producer on this film who had earlier directed Uri the Surgical Strike. That was something we see in that film also. It's just very technically sound. When we see the two women who are essentially leading the show, it's very refreshing to see क्योंकि ये जो genre है उसमें usually female characters aren't afforded this kind of space. They aren't relying on their male counterparts. There is no random segues into love stories. We just see two women who are completely focused on their mission, and that genuinely is one of the better parts of this film. Hammy background score aside, the camera work really helps क्योंकि चाहे वो पेपर वर्क हो या लीगल वर्क हो या फुल फ्लेजेड एक्शन सीक्वेंसेस हो, everything is mounted really well and the camera is constantly following the motion, which does keep you engaged for most of it. Considering that this film is basically a no-nuance, complete celebration of the abrogation of Article 370, there are no stakes that we are viewing here. क्योंकि in a fictional film like this, stakes really matter in the way that the audience is viewing your film. पर everything here is just too convenient. Zuni और उसकी टीम जब कहीं पे भी जाती है fully armed and ready, चाहे जितनी भी गोलियां बरस जाए, चाहे जो भी हो, we know who is going to win because that's how the film's arc is going. Especially that sequence where there's a librarian और दो लोग लाइब्रेरी में घुसते हैं और वो उनको बहुत ही शक की नज़र से देखती है, पर वो जो भी बोलते हैं वो मान लेती है. Doesn't really try to investigate anything, and that makes zero to no sense except again just being convenient. To their credit, the acting in this film is actually pretty good. Yami Gautam का जो character है Zuni is a Kashmiri Pandit, so she has a very personal connect to the valley. But now that she's on this mission, उसका एक professional connect भी है. Balancing the kind of personal and professional aspects of her character was done very well by the actor. There's also Priyamani, who, the perfectly ironed and creased saris aside, gets that whole bureaucratic charm and just the kind of weight that her character needs down to a T. Even the characters on the side do a pretty good job, which kind of does help you engage with the characters and their motivations pretty well. एक कमेंडेबल बात यह है कि जो जूनी का कैरेक्टर है, थ्रू दैट वी सी हाउ द फिल्म एक्सप्लोर्स बोथ द मेरिट्स एंड द डीमेरिट्स ऑफ बैक चैनल डिप्लोमेसी, सेपरेटिस्ट मूवमेंट्स आर टच्ड अपॉन, लोकल पॉलिटिशियंस आर क्वेश्चनड, पर ये जो क्वेश्चनिंग लेंस है वो कभी भी दिल्ली शिफ्ट नहीं होता. अनदर थिंग दैट हैपेंस इज दैट द फिल्म डज टच अपॉन just double agents but does not do it in the way that a lot of films do. कभी वो shock value के लिए use नहीं करते हैं, instead they actually take you into the mechanism of it. Additionally, after a recreation of the horrific Pulwama attacks, we see how Zuni rushes into the office of another intelligence operative to question him about his methods. The film goes as far as to hint that there was perhaps an oversight within the intelligence ranks itself that made such a security breach possible. लेकिन फिल्म में एक बार जब एंट्री होती है अरुण गोविल की और किरण कर्माकर की एज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड द होम मिनिस्टर, things start to shift a little. The hagiography that's going to happen becomes very evident. The hero worship also is there for all to see. हालांकि हमें इन कैरेक्टर्स के नाम नहीं बताए जाते हैं फिल्म में, but the resemblance that is there is uncanny. I'll have to talk about the performers, Arun Govil and Kiran Karmakar. जो roles उनको दिए गए हैं of looking like these heroes, of these people to look up to in the film, like I said, that's the way it's shot. They fulfill that pretty well. I think Kiran Karmakar gets a lot of the film's powerful dialogues. There are parts where it just does not feel as powerful as it should have, but as a whole the performance is pretty noteworthy. Then there is one character that does intrigue me a little bit, which is of the journalist Brinda Ghosh, played by Iravati Harshi. She questions the human rights violations in the valley, questions civilians getting injured by pellet guns, to name a few things. She and the opposition leader actually also get the chance to question the internet shutdowns that are happening in the valley. और वो ये सवाल भी उठाते हैं कि the shutdowns, how does it kind of play into the idea of democracy? ये जो फिल्म के parts हैं जहाँ पे थोड़ा nuance creeps in, you see some complexity kind of creep in. This is where you see, wow, this film could have actually been something, but does not realize that complete potential. One instance where this happens, or rather multiple instances I guess, is जहाँ वो कहते हैं कि civilian or the civilian majority should not have to pay the price for the actions of a few. This argument against collective punishment is actually pretty strong argument to make, and it does rear its head beach में in the film, which I do find commendable. This, along with the few moments of introspection that Zuni's allies get, genuinely had me rooting for the film to do something better along the way, but all of this gets bulldozed by the hero worship. हालांकि the journalist does get to ask pertinent questions to the ruling party. She has access to them at all points. ये सब होता है. She's also asking many important questions, but in the end उनका character भी ऐसा हो जाता है कि it's just someone to outsmart for the greater good. Even the opposition gets to ask important questions when the bill is being discussed in the Rajya Sabha. The most important one being not a question as much as a sentiment that while the lives of the people in the valley are being discussed, the representatives for Kashmir are not present in the Rajya Sabha. पर सारे के सारे witty one-liners, the winning moments, they're clearly shot that way, are given to the Home Minister in the film. So it becomes kind of glaringly obvious who the audience is supposed to root for. Article 370 also borrows a lot from real life events. To be honest, it's really milking any resemblance to any person's living or dead is purely coincidental, bit to its limit. It refers to a harrowing incident in 2017 where a Kashmiri man was tied to a vehicle as a human shield. But in the film, this person is a double agent, and Zuni later kind of assures the officer that it's okay. You know, this was the only thing you could have done. Maybe this film's release time is a coincidence. It's coincidental, right? It's pure coincidence. I'm guessing. There is one thing that I have been thinking about, is just how have we gotten here? How did we get here? We, a country that has Bollywood and now just this huge plethora of films from regional content as well, how did we get to a point where we're like, oh, we kind of just view cinema just for fun? An industry, Indian cinema, that has made so many films about gender discrimination, caste discrimination, the unfairness of the feudal system, rising poverty, unemployment, all of this. And we made this because cinema matters. So can we really view a film like Article 370 for the great action entertainer that it is, while keeping its dicey politics aside? So socho, ponder, think about it, free thinking, free will, use it well, but kind of answer what we're here for. My rating for Article 370 is 2.5 stars out of 5.